Playing Paintball podcast brought to you by 1023 Sportswear and Southwest Paintball in Bayfield, Colorado. I got Mike with me from the newly formed Tennessee Saberwolves X-Ball team. Mike, how you doing, man?
Yeah. What's happening, bro? Good to hear you and see you.
Well, man, let's dig into it. Obviously, Saberwolves is like a legendary 10-man team. You got the blessing from the OGs.
Yep. Yep.
Tell us what the plan is with the Saberwolves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, trying to keep a long story short, Jason, who grew up with the Saberwolves, me and him played years back and with NYX, and we matter of like just crazy events. We end up being playing at the same field. That's a crazy story in itself. If we have time, we can get into that.
We'll get into it.
Okay, so yeah, we connected and I talked with Jay and I was like, Jay, what if we made an X-ball team? And he's like, dude, what if we call it the Saberwolves? I grew up playing as a little kid with the Saberwolves. What if I reach out to them and ask them for their blessing to use the name for X-ball team? And I'm like, dude, I'm game. Let's do it. He got the blessing from the OGs, and we're here. We're building this thing brick by brick, one player at a time, and seeing where it takes us. We have no idea. We're just guys that played competitive in the past and got the itch again, and we're like, all right, let's see what we have and see where it takes us.
Well,
Yeah,
let's dig into the past, man, because
the
there's a lot
past.
of it and
There's a
it's
lot of it.
juicy.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, go way back.
Yeah, let's start with
Yeah, all right.
where you found paintball, bud.
Yeah, yeah. So I grew up in New Jersey. Probably a typical paintball story. Friends played paintball in the woods. Asked me if I wanted to come. I was like, yes. My dad was adamantly no, 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 no. He finally caves in. I go. I have a blast. And my dad's like, well, if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Gets me a gun. He gets a gun. Gets my other younger brother a gun. And then the rest is history. We just played every weekend in New Jersey. Started off in Fireball Mountain was the field, and then I transitioned to Top Gun, and then we would play at Dell Hobbies was another one. That's where a lot of Arsenal we would play there. Cobra Command was another one where a lot of Arsenal and we Marcus Nielsen would come through. We play, so there was a lot of history there. So started playing every weekend, but then came to a place where I was playing competitive with my dad and my brother, and we just started doing like local tournaments, and we just started winning like all the local tournaments, and we're like, what's the next big one? And it was Pittsburgh 3-man. And that was like the one, like, dude, if you won Pittsburgh 3-man, that would be epic. And we entered a few years and it was just like we were getting beaten or just coming up short. And there was one year we won. Our nemesis was a team called Dyslexic Dogs. That's their name. They were awesome, awesome three-man team. And then led from, just playing competitively there. And then at the time it was 10-man was the deal. That was the big, paintball. Like you were playing 10-man, and then it went into 7-man, and then X Ball was created. So, yeah, was playing with just random teams, local teams here and there, and then came to points where you're getting noticed, and people are like, "Hey, do you want to try out?" So then it came up to a time where I can't remember because my brain is so foggy which one was first, but played with Bad Company, then played with Red's Factory with Greg and Rocky when they were both on Red's Factory, which was a great opportunity to play with those guys. When I played with Bad Company, getting coached by Tom Cole, which, coming back in it, seeing Tom as the president is wild. Shout out to Tom. I don't know if you'll ever see this, but shout out, dude, and shout out Rocky and Greg. But yeah, so played on those teams and then led to play with New York Extreme and played with them. And then my brothers, they came from a rich background, paintball too. My brother that was right under me played with Chicago Evil. He played with some of those Farside guys. My other brother, two other younger brothers played with New Jersey Jesters, Arsenal Kids. So there's this rich heritage of paintball with the family. And then my dad was, if anybody played paintball in the past 20 years, not past 10, but the past 20 years, they would know my dad, which was MiguelCruz.com, which was like, if you had a poster at that time, most likely my dad shot that picture. He was shooting for Faceful. He was shooting for all the magazines. And fun fact with him was he was the only non-athlete ever sponsored by Contract Killers. We'd come to a paintball event and then it's this like big banner of my dad holding a camera.
Hmm.
He was the camera guy before all. Now I see camera guys are like getting platforms, which is
Yeah.
wild. And that did it. Like my dad at the time, he was like the only one. And it was to the point where he's like, he's got beanies coming out, stickers. All the pros wanted the stickers, the beanies. And then when they started rocketing all the photos, everybody wanted. We couldn't keep up with it. I even have like I have them right here on my table. It was these stickers. Like everybody wanted these
Okay.
stickers.
Yeah, I
Every
remember
and then I think
those.
and then this pin. Everybody wanted this pin on the back of their headband and the beanies, and they'd be like gone because it'd be in a big full spread of Faceful,
Hmm.
and people were like, "Holy crap! Like I want that, I want that." And that was my dad. So we, traveling warriors, right? Every weekend we're in either a different state or a different tournament playing. New York Extreme was a great opportunity playing with. It was at the time when a lot of New England Hurricanes came over,
Okay.
so that was a great experience playing with those guys. Learned a lot from those guys. It was the time where the Russians were really gaining a lot of notoriety because they went full send into training
Hmm.
and their snap shooting was just above par. Everybody's like, what? And a lot of the New England guys really took into that system of like how to really snap shoot effectively and learned a lot from those guys. And that was, at the time, Billy Bonaccia was hanging around a lot. He was a lot younger. Greg Sewers was super young at the
Hmm.
time. He was around there at the time in those circles. Yeah, it's wild. And uh got to play that. If people remember back in the day where Smarts Parts had the Smarts Parts World Cup
Yeah.
in for ESPN, so got to play on that, and that was fun. But yeah, just a rich history of just playing and enjoying it, and then came to a point where I was like, I think I'm done. I didn't know it was this weird transition out of paintball because it wasn't like okay, I quit, but it was just like, I think I'm done. And then just never picked it back up. And then here we are 20 years later, bro. Like, no
Picking it
joke.
back
It's
up.
fun. Picking it back up. And that's a wild story too on why picking that up. But yeah, so that's where I am now, where I'm like, okay, can I still play at 41 years old?
Yeah. Well, before we get into the how you got it picked back up, I want
Yeah.
to ask some questions about the history.
Yeah.
I mean, to like super paintball family, how was
Yeah.
it? I mean, it sounds like all your brothers played at a pretty high level, right? If not the highest level, a high level. So how was it being like these four brothers across all these different teams?
Well, yeah, it was wild because every part of us, we were all at different states at different in the weekend. Like my brother's going off to
Hmm.
Chicago. I'm down in Maryland with the Bad Company crew, and then my brother's with the New Jersey Jesters. So yeah, we were all over the place. It was a funny thing at the time because everybody knew like, don't put the Cruz boys together because we're just gonna fight on the field. We were
Okay.
like, why did you
So
request?
it was
Why
a
did
good
you
thing you were
request?
separated.
Yeah, that was like the kind of like the underlining tone where it's like, don't put them together. You keep them separate, they're great. But if you put them together, you so yeah, like my youngest brothers, Andrew and Sean, me and my brother Chris trained them a lot. We would probably not the best way where we would grind them and just like one-on-ones train, and they they excelled super quick. I would say, man, at the time they were playing, if you'd given them maybe a year and a half, they would have been playing pro next. They were right there, and uh, it was just because they played every weekend and we just grinded them. They would just like, if they were walking to the other bunker, I'd shoot them in the back. That's how bad it was. I'm like, why are you walking to the bunker? Run. So yeah, that's yeah. So we'd be different with and then my dad, he like some tournaments my dad would go to by himself because our team wasn't going to that. Like he may be at
Mhm.
a 7-man NPPL and I was doing NXL.
Yeah.
So, but Facebook would send him and he'd go there. And I'm like, I didn't have to go because I didn't have a team that I was playing with at the time. So it would be this ongoing transition of like traveling every weekend. So,
Must have been wild. You all go to the airport just to go on different flights.
dude, yeah, it's exactly that. It's exactly that. And then if we were all playing at the same tournament, it would be like, my brother would be like, well, Chicago got me this ticket. I'm at this time and you guys got this ticket. Try to see if you could change it so you could be all together. And it was just crazy logistics.
Sure, it was a madhouse for a couple of years there.
Yeah. I'm convinced I don't know how my mom's washer dryer still sustained all our gear.
That's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I don't ever remember it breaking down, but I remember just piles of paintball, just like
They don't
just
make them
getting
like they
lost.
used to. That's why it
I know.
lasted.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you were on Bad Company, were you the Spider timeline or were
Yeah,
you the
yeah. So I was at the
Spimmies?
time. So Bad Company had when I came on, they were already that Spider Raven team, but it
Hmm.
was at the time where they married the Intimidator bottom to the Spider
Okay,
top. So
gotcha.
it was a spider gun. That's all we could say. But yeah, they milled that sucker out and they put the Intimidator bottom in there, which, made it competitive, but at the same time, you can only imagine how many breakdowns there were because
Yeah.
of like this was not intended. So that
Hmm.
was the time that I came on where we had the Raven masks that were like super small and they're almost
Yeah.
like plastic like.
Yeah.
They were just gnarly. But
Yeah. Almost a predecessor to like the I4s, but like they were
yeah,
smaller.
yeah, they were like cut right here, dude.
Yeah, right on
Like
the
right here.
jawline, if not right
Just
above it.
right here. You get bunkers to be gnarly, dude. So yeah, yeah. That was the time I was with them at that time. And Tom played, I think, but he was more of a coaching aspect of the
Okay.
team. Yeah.
So what facilitated the move from Bad Company? Was it Bad Company then Reds?
To be totally honest, I honestly can't recall. I think back in the day, dude, this is what was crazy. Back in the day, paintball was it wasn't what's on social media, right? There wasn't a social media. There was
No, you had
Facebook, but
Nation.
it wasn't paintball was on forums. It was all on forums. It was
Hmm.
PB Nation. So and don't quote me on this because I don't know if this is what happened to me, but this was so normal. You would find out what was happening to your team, not from your team, but by the forum. Like you would find out, hey, like for example, this is relevant today, so I can compare it. Hey, Tauntauns is now Arsenal Tauntauns, right? You
Hmm.
wouldn't find that through your team. You wouldn't find that through Instagram. You would find that if you went on a forum, right? And you
Hmm.
see bad company forum, you're like, okay, what are people saying? You're more looking about what are people saying about me? What pictures did people
Hmm.
post of me? I'm gonna go look. And you would find information on that. So then when you would find that information, you would be like, shoot, dude, like the season's coming up. I gotta find a team. So you would reach out into your Rolodex to be like, yo, yo. And I grew up in New Jersey and Greg was from New Jersey. So I
Yeah.
think, I'm reaching out to people like that where it's like, yo, Greg, well, we're forming a Reds Factory team. Are you game? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Now, if that happened before Bad Company or after, I can't tell. I honestly can't. Dude, there's so many memories that have been locked that have been open
Hmm.
again. Those two were before New York. And then
Okay.
I think the one for Red's Factory I was on, and I knew that disbanded when I saw Red was picked up by Excessive.
Hmm.
And he went to Excessive. I'm like, there's no team. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way there's a team. You can't move Red from Red's Factory.
Yeah.
So I literally, no joke, from what I recall, I think I had like Rosie's email who started Ground Zero back in the day
Hmm.
because I played up in North New York, upstate New York. a couple times. So I think I had his email and I reached out and I was like, hey, dude, can I try out for you guys? And they let me try out and then they took me to Chicago the next weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
So pretty quick transition there then.
Yeah, yeah, dude. It was like that. It was for a PB Nation, all of that. You were like looking at the forums and you're like, okay, no one talked to me. No one said anything to me. So a lot different than today.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how was a tryout back in the day for
Dude.
a pro team?
A lot different than I see the tryouts now. I'm like, whoa, dude, I don't think I'd make the team at all. So you come in, you show up, and with New York, I can't remember. I think it was a field in Massachusetts, because a lot of the New England guys were there.
Mhm.
They were prepping for, I think, Chicago, and I came up. And they just threw you in the mix. They were like, there's a couple warm up stuff where you're jogging, snap shooting stuff, and then they just threw you into some points and you just played point after point. They played you a lot because they wanted to see. They knew that, nerves in the beginning. They knew that, like, hey, how do we see points play out with this guy? Let's put him on this line, let's put him on that line. It wasn't like where you see guys, I see guys running and then they dive into the snake and they gotta fall under a bar. So
Uh-huh.
they dive good enough and then they jump up and then there's a target and you got to hit it and then someone's taking notes like it's like a combine. Like that's crazy. Nothing against it. It's just like, wow, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I think back in the day with paintball, it was so it's instinctive. It was so like, can this guy play in the heat of the moment?
Yeah.
And instead of looking at these individualistic skills, can this guy just run and gun? Can he play? And X ball was still so new that they were looking for such aggressive players that it's like running and gunning fast as can be. I think God's hand was on me on that tryout because I had a really good tryout. Even I told myself, I was like, dang, I don't play this good, but stay quiet, don't say that. So, yeah, at the end of the tryout, it was like they said, hey, do you want to fly out to Chicago? And I was like, yes. And then like it was
That
wild
was that.
because I knew the guys from just overlapping circles of
Yeah.
knowing them, scrimmages, practice. So I knew them, but it it was wild because I took the train up there, stayed with them, got to know them through that, tried out, and then they're like, next week, do you want to come to Chicago? And I'm like, sure, like you guys are a fully die team. I don't have anything. And they're like, don't worry about it. And then I show up in Chicago, no joke, massive duffel bag, literally probably 2 hours before our first match. And they're like, here you go. And that's how it was back then. I was like, dang, okay, so I got to make sure this gun shoots. I got to make sure this gear fits. So it was kind of like that. That's how it just like kind of unraveled.
That's wild showing up without like anything and just
Dude,
here's the duffel bag, right?
yeah, here you go. It was like a big netted pod bag that
Okay.
had dial. And then in there was just like everything you needed: mask, elbow pads, knee pads, pants, jersey with your name on it. It was like, whoa, all right. And thank God, Dye was there. So if you had any issues, the tech
Yeah.
team take care of it. So
Well, that's the era when they had like the semi truck that like folded out,
yeah. Oh
right?
yeah. Look, dude, I would like with you even saying that leads me to the question, wait, they don't even do that anymore? Like I haven't
Yeah, I
been
don't
to
think so.
an event. I haven't even been to an event, dude. That's how, like, the way I've been catching up the last 20 years of paintball has been watching YouTube and all the interviews to like
Mhm.
be like, okay, what have I missed in the last 20 years?
Well, there's a lot more to go on than back in
Yeah,
the day, right? Like
yeah,
you,
yeah.
you used to have to wait for that Trauma Head DVD or whatever to come out.
Yeah. Dude, no joke. I have a tub in my garage with stacks of those DVDs.
Nice.
Yeah. My son's like, can I watch them? I'm like, no, you can't watch these.
Yeah, they're a little bit more raw than the
Yeah.
material we get now,
They
right?
were equivalent. They were equivalent to your like raw skating video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those raw skating videos. That's what they were like.
So you get on to New York Extreme
Yeah, yeah,
and you get the opportunity to play the Smart Parts World Champion at the
yeah,
Mohegan Sun. Take
Yeah,
us through that, and let's talk about like the name change
yeah,
and everything for that.
yeah. That was wild because it was at the time where with PSP and PPL, all of this, it was getting like super political between presidents, what's going on. And excuse me, at the time, if you committed to X ball, you weren't allowed to play any other event. And they were it was like it was them trying to make it legitimate where it's like baseball only plays in the MLB, teams
Yeah.
only play in the NHL. So it was like, hey, we want to make this as professional as we can. So they're like, hey, if you play in X ball and you're under it, you can't at all be a part of
Hmm.
any other event. So New York Extreme was a part of X Ball, so they weren't allowed to play other events. But teams like Dynasty didn't take the plunge yet. Teams like Excessive, Naughty Dogs, they didn't take the plunge yet. So they had the Smart Parts World Cup, and I think Jerry Braun at the time owned the team, and
Hmm.
I think he was also helpful with landing the Mohegan Sun because it was in Connecticut and all those guys were
Yeah.
up there. So we got involved in it, but we had to change our name. We couldn't because Expo owned our name. So we couldn't be New York Extreme. So we had to be the New York Aces, which was like lame because our jersey was like super plain. It was just a regular red dye jersey. And then it was like ironed on playing cards and our first and last name. And it said New York Aces. So, um, yeah, it was wild. So we had to change the name. We get there in the arena. They like fully netted up, put turf, and other teams were there like Excessive, Dynasty, Naughty Dogs. Trying to figure out who else was there. Was it like a massive amount of teams? It was some, but
Strange was there, but they had
Strange.
to change their name too, so they were like the
Yeah, they changed
Predators
their
or
name
something.
too. Yeah, something like that. So they all like some teams didn't change their name, some did. And then it was a weird experience because you had people like that were at the Mohegan Sun come watch something they've never seen before,
Hmm.
but it was labeled professional because we were all pro teams. But so then what? It was a weird experience because you come in and you have all these people watching and they're seeing you as a professional because they're labeling you as like the pristine. So
Hmm.
you have little kids coming up for autographs and
That
you're
don't
like,
even know you.
no, they don't even know you. I'm like, dude, this is not worth the pod I just autographed. Like, you will have more use on this pod. So like kids would come up with pods and they'd be like, "Can you sign this?" And I'm like, "Sure." So we signed it and yeah, it was a unique time playing that game that tournament. It was if you watch it, it's on YouTube and it's
Yeah.
super tacky. It's super tacky. Like there's a band playing and it's just weird, but it was their attempt to, really excel the sport of paintball and bring it to in front of people because ESPN picked it up. Matty Marshall like narrated it the whole time, and then they had people like Nikki Vegas talk on there. Yeah, it was a wild, wild experience.
So, and then were you guys allowed to talk about because it came out like much later because they did everything
Yeah,
in post, right?
see, like you're like unlocking a memory again. So we weren't allowed to say who won it or anything. So we weren't allowed to say anything about it. On that side. We told people like, yeah, we played, but it was like, hey, it's not gonna come out till this time. So yeah, like you're unlocking that memory where I'm like, oh yeah, we weren't allowed to talk about it.
Because it
So
was like mid-season, right? But it didn't come
it
out
was
until
something like,
like World
yeah,
Cup time-ish.
it didn't come out
So,
until later. It wasn't like it was weird because it's a tournament, but it didn't carry any clout because
mhm,
it wasn't the real World Cup, as we all know. you know?
yeah.
So it was like, it was just something we did that we were like, dude, we're going to be on ESPN. I think that was more the excitement about the tournament where you were like, dude, man, I hope I get a gnarly point on ESPN. You know,
Hmm.
that's,
Get a
that's where I
highlight
think
out
more
of
the
it.
excitement. Yeah, you were like, that's where I don't think anybody was excited to be like, yo, let's win. Like, you always want to win, don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
like, no one was like, dude, like, this is the tournament of the century. Like, nah, dude, this was like, dude, we're gonna be on ESPN. Don't mess it up.
Nice.
So yeah, it was a pretty wild experience.
So you stayed with NYX until you were just kind of like done, right?
Yeah, there was some moving around and did like players moving around, disbanding, didn't know anything, no one really communicated. And then it kind of hit that point where, excuse me, it hit that point where that was the final straw probably for me for paintball, where it was like, dude, no one really communicates. No one does
Hmm.
like doesn't feel fun. You're doing all this and yeah, so you're like, I think I'm done. And I was at the height of college too, graduating.
Hmm.
I was in talks to move to California, which I ended up doing. But so it was all a lot of big life experiences were coming at my way where I was like, okay, I think I'm done. I think I'm done.
Gotcha.
And just kind of laid it down. And then it kind of trickled with my brothers and my dad. They were
Hmm.
just like, okay, I guess we're done. It was weird. It was never like, hey guys, what do you think? Should we be done? It was never
Uh-huh.
really like that.
It just kind of
Just
faded
kind of just
away.
like, yeah, it's weird. Like even when I think about it now, I'm like, why didn't we talk about this? Well, I don't know. I don't know.
So how does a former pro player go from moving out to Colorado, or not Colorado, California,
Yeah.
to finding himself in Tennessee at a paintball
Yeah.
field and getting started again?
Bro, I couldn't even explain. It's so wild. So I moved to California, lived there for 15 years. So I'm there for 15 years. I played. Do you remember the M packs, the pod packs, M packs? They were or
Yeah.
Top Stitch. Remember
Hmm.
then? So I didn't know at the time, but I moved to the town where they started. And at the time, my son was like maybe 6, and we go into the paintball store just to see it. And I get to talk to them, and they're like, "Hey, you got to come play with us, practice one time." So I'm like, "I have nothing." They're like, "Don't even worry about. We'll go. We'll get you gear." So I go play, and I go play a point. They give me all the gear, and I'm literally on it's like a one-on-one with their team captain, right? It ends up
Hmm.
being. I haven't played now, it's probably like 10 years more like now. At this
Okay.
point that I pick it up, like 10 years. And I just I get him. I beat him and everything. He gets so mad because this guy that's 10 years haven't played beats him. He's the
Hmm.
captain. They're playing every weekend. I literally at that point, him getting so mad and everything is the reason I put the gun down. I was like, this is the reason why I'm not playing anymore. So I was like, I don't need this. I'm done. Literally fast forward, that's a lot. That was the one part I played paintball in the
Okay.
midst of 20 years of playing, and then didn't
Hmm.
play for like another 10 years. That was like a little glimpse. So then from California, my whole family ends up moving to Tennessee. My wife and I, with 4 kids, we follow them, move to Tennessee.
Hmm.
Not at all thinking about paintball. Like this is a totally different season of my life. Like so with that, you're moving boxes, you're moving things, you have things out. My kids knew about paintball, but they didn't know like really what I did because it was all done before they were born. So my son sees all my gear and starts asking questions, and he's like, "Dad, what is this?" And I'm like, "Well, I used to play kind of deal." We get into the story. If he knew, but he wanted more.
Hmm.
Excuse me, sorry. Uh, we uh we watched some YouTube. We're watching all the teams now play and seeing all these teams from Tampa Bay Damage to Impact. Dude, when I was playing, Impact was just getting into the game.
Uh-huh.
Just
Yeah.
getting into the game. Tampa Bay Damage, all these guys playing and just like making names for themselves, and guys that were like just getting into the game when I was in the game, like superstars now, like superstars, like X Factor, dude. Just like when I was playing with NYX, I think X Factor just bought into the franchise, so
Hmm.
they were super new as well. So it was wild seeing all these people like Billy just being a superstar. Like, whoa, this is crazy. So my son's like, "Can we play? Can we play?" So I'm like, "I have no idea what fields are here in Tennessee. I have no idea what's going on." So I find that the farm, which is like this substantial field, has turf fields. It's amazing setup. It's got a lot of competitive play. I talked to the owner, Ira. Shout out to Ira and the farm sports. And he was like, "Dude, just come. Love to have you." So I come out with my son. I bring a couple of my like soft gear, like my pants, my knee pads. I literally, that's all I have. I have an
Uh-huh.
old Arsenal kids jersey that I had when I guested with them in the 7-man NPPL. I had regular joggers. They're not even paintball pants. I had old dye knee pads from NYX. Didn't even have a mask. I had elbow pads that were dry rotting because I'm like, dude, if I dive or anything, I need to save myself.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. And then they were kind enough to be like, dude, here's a mask, here's a gun, go run a couple points. So I go run a couple points and I'm like, oh, man, this is like riding a bike. Now, obviously, like not at the level that I was,
Mhm.
definitely rusty and gotta gain some gun skills back, but it was still like riding a bike. Like, and my son is like, oh, dang, dad, you did play pro.
Dad's a
And he's
killer.
like, it's like, dang. I was like, did you think I was lying? But it wasn't like superstar, but it was just like I was able to hold my own.
Uh-huh.
And so that was wild. So then it started the itch. Well, I'm playing, and this is where Jason comes into the story. I'm playing in the middle of Shelbyville, Tennessee. I don't know anybody. No one should know me. I just moved from California a year and a half ago. And this guy looks at me, goes, Mike? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's Jason. We played on NYX together. And I look at Jay. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, what the heck? What are you doing here? And he's like, dude, my son wanted to play paintball. I just got back into it. I'm like, dude, same here. He's like, this is like my first day back. The farm was actually having a tryout. They were doing
Okay.
tryouts. And that's why I went, because I wanted to show my son a tryout, see a bunch of
Mhm.
people play. So they were kind enough to let us just be involved in the tryout, where it was like 3-on-3s, 2-on-2s. So Jay and we start running points together, and it was just like butter, dude. I'm like, he was using guy up the snake. I was behind him. I was like, dude, this is unreal. We get done playing, and that was it. Like, it was just so much fun. Like, I didn't remember last time I had that much fun in paintball. Um, I'm like, the sick mind that I have. Oh, and then I told my brother at the same time to come that day, that played for Chicago Evil. And I said, dude,
Okay.
bring your son. So he brings his son, he gets there, I'm playing a point, he's watching. No joke, 30 minutes later, I look over, he is suited up in gear. I'm like, what happened? He's like, dude, they gave me all this gear to play. I'm like, yeah. So he plays, he gets the itch, and I'm like, dude, we got three people. We have more than half of an X-Ball team right now,
Mhm.
or an X-Ball line.
Yeah.
So I, in my sick mind, I go looking. I have no gear. So back in the day, what you would do is you play these tournaments and guns were the prize. So I'm like, dude, I haven't played in 20 years. Jay, you haven't played in 20 years. Chris, you haven't played in 20 years. Dude, let's just go like sandbag and play in a tournament, win some guns, and now we have gear, right? So I'm like, let's go do that. So I go look up tournaments. I can't find any, no one's doing stuff like that. And I find the MSXL. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, this whole league. And I'm like, oh, the first one's here at the farm. Okay, great. And my sick brain is starting to go. And I'm like, so I call Jay and I'm like, yo, Jay, what if we make a team and just see what happens? And he's like, dude, I'm game. So then I call my brother and I'm like, hey, you're in a tournament with me in paintball. He goes, what? Okay. I'm like, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You're playing. He goes, oh man, all right, you just gotta get me the dates. Then I called my younger brother who played with New Jersey Jesters, because my other brother that played New Jersey Jesters, there's four boys. The
Uh-huh.
other one is still a cop in New Jersey. So I called my other brother that lives in Tennessee that plays for New Jersey Jesters and a little bit with Arsenal kids. I was like, yo, you gotta play. Dude, I wanted to come. I couldn't come. I'm coming next week. So he comes next week. I get him hook, line, and sinker. He's like, I'm in. So no joke, we have four people now. So I'm like, Jay, my background is in marketing. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's what I've done for a long time, is marketing. So I'm like, Jay, let me reach out to any of these companies. Let me reach out to some friends that are still involved in these companies and see what we can do, if we can line up some sponsorships, because this is like an expense line. We're all dads. We've got
Mhm.
all, kids.
Yeah.
Like, paintball is back to a hobby. It's not the
Mhm.
professional level where you're getting everything paid for. We're back to a hobby. So I'm like, dude, this is not an expense line we have. So
Mhm.
in my creative sick brain, I'm like, let me see who I can get behind X vet pros that want to play and see if they still have it. Here's the storyline. Do you want to get
Mhm.
behind? Right? So I'm like, all right, let me reach out to these companies. So in the midst of that, Jay started playing paintball with the Saberwolves, and when he was a kid, he says,
Hmm.
dude, Saberwolves have this rich legacy. If companies here that were connected to that, that's a little bit more notoriety, maybe that helps us out. Why don't I talk to them, see if we can make the team, make the Xbox that name? I'm like, dude, I'm game because I was coming up with names. I was like, yo, Syndicate, don't take it anybody unless someone already has it. I don't know. I'm like, don't take it. It's a dope name. But like, so I'm trying to come up with all these names, and Jay's like, why don't we just become Tennessee Saberwolves? I'm like, dude, I love it. So he gets their blessing, and then I go full send marketing and is like, yo, messaging, DMing. I'm hitting up everybody's DMs multiple times. I'm like, yo, did you get my DM? I saw that you saw it. Did you like, hey, listen, dude, this is what we're doing. We've got great ex pro players. We want to see if we can do anything. So that led to like it kind of snowball affecting where I'm like, oh dear God, what am I doing? What did I just create? Like
Hmm.
snap. Like and then Jay reaches out to more players that hear the story and they're like, yeah, I want to be a part of
Hmm.
that. And now here we are having a full team of like 8, 9 deep
Nice.
and sponsors that have decided to team up with us.
Hmm.
Like Defy team, like shout out Defy Chad, used to play for Miami Heat. He was there. I didn't even know this. We were talking. He's got the fastest point in the NXL.
Yeah.
Phenomenal guy and really becoming an awesome friend. And he was like, dude, like, yes, I love this, so shout outs to Defy. And then we just literally picked up today, like it confirmed Maxed Sportswear.
Hmm.
They're going to be sponsors with their packs and gloves because I'm like, dude, our packs are dry rotting off our backs. Like literally no joke. And I'm like, we need packs. We need gloves. So they're like, yeah, we got you. And then I took the model of like, people could take this model unless they have, again, 20 years out. So people may have been doing this already. But I was like, dude, people sponsor baseball teams for little kids. Joe Stevens Construction is on the shirt, right? I'm like, dude, I don't need to go to the big paintball companies because they're gonna look at me and be like, "Hey, you're not Dynasty. We're not gonna give you the da 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 da." I'm like, I get it, and I don't have a huge platform, but I can market really well. So
Hmm.
I reached out to local places like Dos Santos Tacos. Shout out to Dos Santos Tacos. That's a big sponsor for us. That is like a amazing taco shop in Nashville restaurant. It's amazing. The Athlete Lab. Shout out. I'm doing all these plugs, so I don't know if this matters if you got
Go
into
for
booty.
it. No, go
Okay.
for it. That's what it's for.
The Athlete Lab. Shout out to the Athlete Lab. This is Trent, who is a doctor who does physical therapy for professional athletes. And he was like, dude, I love to. Another big one, Twine Graphics, that's doing a lot of our jerseys, practice jerseys. They're hooking us up big time. The farm giving us a covering and being like, yeah, absolutely. However we can help out. And a little bit matters. It helps every step of the way, one brick at a time, and these companies saying, hey, we see you, we see what you want to do. We want to get in with you and partner up with you. And the response has been phenomenal. And at the same time, trading with really good marketing. I'm like, hey, I can get Miguel Cruz back in the saddle, my dad, and shoot amazing photos. So I got my dad back in the saddle. He's
Nice.
shooting photos. I'm like, Dad, listen, I need you to take pictures because this sponsorship needs pictures. So take the pictures because then we get the stuff and we need the stuff. And then also a dear friend of mine used to shoot for Jelly Roll all his video footage. And
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, shout out Campfire Media. He used to shoot for Jelly Roll. I'm like, dude, can you just shoot some sizzle reels of us practicing? He's like, I got you. So he's shooting, and then he wants to come out with this like mini docu series of us forming the team. So all of this is kind of like unraveling, and my son is loving it, going crazy. My wife wants to kill me, but it's like all of this is kind of like unraveling, where all this favor is coming, where I didn't think would happen.
Hmm.
So we're just taking it one day at a time, and then at the same time trying to build this team with these players. Like because individually, every player is a great baller. They're great. Like wouldn't take anything away from them. But we're not a team. We're
Hmm.
starting a team. So we're learning how do we really dial in communication? How do we dial in camaraderie? So we're really growing that. Like our first practice, dude, we got smashed in the mouth, dude. And then our second practice, we did really, really well. And it's that 1% every weekend, right? Or you get
Hmm.
1% better. So like we were really happy. I think we went like 500 with our points, and we're like, I'm happy with that, guys, because again, we're still growing.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's where it kind of a long answer to your question, but that's how
No, that's great.
it's where it's taken us so far. Where yeah, we're here and we're trying to figure this out.
Yeah. Well, you can definitely see the marketing background, right? Like the logo's on point.
Appreciate that.
I think it was either today or yesterday you released like a little sizzle reel out on
Yeah,
the Instagram.
yeah,
So, and I was like, they're coming in hard, coming in
yeah.
hot.
Which is so funny because I was talking to Chad at Defy and appreciate those guys. They're amazing. He's like, here's the thing with paintball teams. This is what they're good at, and this is what they suck at. They're good at playing paintball. They suck at marketing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we're not good yet at paintball. We're individually good, but we're not good yet as a team. But we're good at marketing. So I'll meet up with there. So yeah, so that's what we're trying. We look a lot sexier than we really are.
Hey, that's what counts for the sponsors,
Yeah,
though.
we're trying.
So, and Defy is probably one of the top promoters as
Yeah,
far
yeah,
as
they're
like
crushing it.
marketing
They
goes.
get it. They get it.
Like,
They for sure get it.
Todd and
And
Chad all
yeah,
like just
and
knock it.
Thomas,
Yeah.
they get it. They get and I think that's what's lead them. Chad is really leading the way with them, and he's doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah. And Dylan Filmit, can't forget that guy.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
killing
yeah.
it.
Yep,
But
yep.
they, what I like about them is they also they sponsor you, but they show the love. And like when you
They do.
create the content, they
They share
really
it.
use it. Like
They do.
some companies just don't use it. And it's
Dude,
like you got a
it's
gold mine in front of you.
it's so funny because I do like even there's some big pro teams. I'm talking pinnacle teams. I'm not gonna say names, and I'm like, you guys would be making. You already have the platform to really leverage a financial income, and why
Hmm.
aren't you doing a better job? Like their marketing is just even their design work. I'm like, oh man, what are you doing? And I'm not gonna name names. I'm not gonna cast shade,
Yeah.
but like it's top pro teams. I'm like, that's what you're doing to promote like. You're telling me you all got free guns and free everything, and that's what you
Hmm.
did to show love? Like, come on, we could do better than that.
Yeah.
So the sports, the sports changed and a lot and hasn't changed a lot.
Okay. So tell me how it's changed and then tell me how it hasn't changed.
Well, oh, this is where I'm probably gonna cast a little shade, and
Okay.
then, but not on anybody
In particular.
particularly, just on the sport in general, is it hasn't changed in the sense of like playing wise, it's faster. Yeah, don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
it's faster, more athletic, sure. But it's still like it's the same strategy, right? And so that hasn't changed much. The coaching and the strategy behind it, sure, and the organization of a paintball team, the structure of a paintball team. I think that's why Impact and people like X Factor transcended so quick because they had that platform with Impact's owner was a professional athlete. He knew how to build it. And I think that's why they transcended time so well. And even people like X Factor, because they implemented structure that is professional. But um for me, so that's changed. That I can see that has happening now.
Hmm.
X Factor and Impact were ahead of their time with doing that.
Yeah.
The thing that hasn't changed is like the loyalty in paintball. So it's like, do you want to take it, like, if you want to really be taken serious, stop jumping from team to team. And I'm not
Hmm.
talking about your local teams. I'm talking about big pros that jump from team to team. And I'm like, dude, you guys talk about how much you want the legitimacy of paintball as a professional sport. Here we are. It started in the 80s, right? And now we're
Hmm.
here. You want the legitimacy of an sport, but you can't even stick with a team. Like your word doesn't matter. Like you're
Yeah.
jumping teams every second. And it's a bummer to see that, because if you want to take notes from the pros, like Kobe could have left Lakers anytime when he was mad with Shaq. Like he could have left any time. There's players like Stephen Curry that takes a pay cut so they can pick up players. You
Yeah.
got players that are leaving paintball teams because they're getting a bigger check.
Hmm.
And it's like, guys, you're still not getting it. Like you're not professional. It's not taken as professional. Now, don't get me wrong, it's grown. Like I'm gonna get so much, like everybody's gonna, like, people that don't even know me are gonna be like, who is this fuck thing stuff? But
Do
like,
your research first.
yeah, like, dude, like, they're gonna be like, this guy knows nothing. I'm like, I've been playing pro when you just started playing FIFA. But like, the thing is, if we want to be taken seriously, we need to take our commitment seriously. So you see that, like, all the time where I see players just jumping, and I'm like, dude, you got to be able to build from the ground up and really let your word be your word and not chase a paycheck. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that we're trying to really progress the sport forward with players being paid, and it's been growth, but like you can't take a paycheck in the with the tone of this is progressing the sport. I'm like, no, that's what you're telling yourself. You just left the band of brothers because you want to go pick a paycheck, and you're saying it's progressing the sport. And I'm like, I'm not buying it, because you picking one paycheck is not going to progress the sport automatically. It's just not going to do it. So like that hasn't changed. And then like, oh man, it sounds like I'm talking so much shade, but like, it's like you see it. Like, here's the thing. This is where it's a bummer.
Hmm.
I can put on an NBA game, NHL game, NFL game, baseball game. I could put any of those games on and I don't have to put it on mute. If with my son around, if
Hmm.
I put on a game or any video of paintball, I have to put it on mute.
Hmm.
It's like like you get in a huddle, it's like F this, F that, F this, F that, F that, F must be destroyed. And I'm like, I understand motivation. I understand like lifting up yourself, get your team motivated. But I think that it hasn't changed on the professionalism. It's like, dude, little kids are watching you. And if you want the sport to progress, you need to have mom and dad sold in, and mom and dad are not going to get sold in if you're just like dropping the F bomb every 2 seconds. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying, hey, hey, listen, it's not holy art thou over here. I've had my moments and still have them. So, like, it sounds like I'm pointing the finger and I got 3 point back at me. Yes, I'm just as guilty. But I think, like, I watch it and I'm like, dang, dude, it still hasn't grown. Like it still hasn't
Hmm.
grown from that. Like there's so much opportunity for professionalism, and I don't see the players taking it as a mass. Now there's some like, for example, like, and they've always been this type of team. So I'm not going to cast shade, but I will give props.
Give
Is
props.
dude, you can like, I've seen them lose their cool, but most of the time you see Dynasty, dude, you don't see them lose their cool that much.
Hmm.
Dude, like they stay tight, they keep it tight, they're kind of quiet. Um, and not saying they have it, but they have really taken a professional aspect to the game where it's like, okay, you know, you don't hear them get in a circle. Okay, we're gonna do F and bury these guys. No, you hear DYNASDY. Like
Hmm.
you hear something that can build a franchise. You know what I'm saying? So that's where like I give props. So that's where I haven't seen it grow,
Okay.
where I'm like, dang, where I've seen it grow is it's dualistic. Now I say I didn't see it grow in professionalism, but I see it grow in professionalism is
Hmm.
more the structure and the scouting of teams. Like
Hmm.
you got people scouting players. Hey, certain player only likes to shoot right, so they're not gonna play the snake this game. So just like you've got plays after plays, and I'm like,
Hmm.
dang, dude, this is getting really detailed. This is amazing to watch,
Yeah, the coaching staff has like
dude.
um evolved,
Evolve.
right? Like the
It's
coaching
evolved.
staff, the pit crew, like all that's become super important. I don't know any pro team that doesn't have like three coaches on it now. That's a
Yeah,
top
that's
10 team.
wild, dude. Like, I just want to see it, probably ask you a bunch of questions to give me the info because I don't know anything. I'm talking to Chad on the phone. I'm like, hey, dude, so how deep is the line? So tell me how
Hmm.
deep is like how well, this is what I do. I protect the legs of my snake eye. So I got two snake. So I'm like, I'm trying to glean as much as I can because I'm like, I'm still getting in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I see that as grown. The product has grown better, right? The guns are
Yeah.
unreal, right?
Yeah. Significantly better from, I mean, what was your first gun, like tournament gun?
My first tournament gun, my first electronic gun was the Bushmaster.
That was
That
my
was
first electronic one
my
too.
first electronic gun. My first tournament gun was, I think I had a shocker. It was the one like the Dynasty shockers, that kind. And then I had to put that down because of bad company. And then Red's Factory, I think they let us shoot whatever we wanted. I don't think we had a
Mm-hmm.
gun sponsorship. And then the last one was the DM7 was the dive. That was my last one.
Yeah.
So instead of the gun being this thick, now it's like this. It's
Yeah.
like
It's a
super,
two for
which is,
now, it's
and
just,
I picked it up and I'm like, dear God, this is light. This is
mm-hmm.
crazy. I mean, it's crazy. And you see the companies that grow like HK. Wow, it's like a enterprise, dude. Like, my gosh,
Yeah.
Marcus built that and his team have built that crazy because they were, when I was playing, they were a bunch of kids like me and my brothers knew them, and we always see each other at tournaments, and they would just be like, have the iron on HK Army headbands. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It was nothing else. They were like the equivalent to, in the skating world, they were like the Z Boys. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They were the countercultural kids that were like, they showed you what real style was. They showed you what
Mm-hmm.
real hungry paintball was, right? And it's crazy to see where Mark and his team has taken it. It's wild.
So I
So
think that's the documentary we need. Like we're getting the
yeah,
Iron Kids documentary, which will be
yeah,
dope.
yeah,
But I want to see the Hostile Kids documentary that takes it
yeah, dude.
from little
That would
Groms
be
to this big
yeah.
empire of a company.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I remember the kids like Mark, his brother. I think it was his brother was Scott, then Bobby, Jules Foot. I mean, I remember there was a video of Jules Foot where they both shot each other as much as they could to see who could withstand. It was like crazy back
Hmm.
in the day. Yeah, a lot of those teams. A lot of those guys were. It's crazy. That's what's crazy to see. Like the teams like and the players. That's changed. Like I think watching Dynasty is somewhat like inspiring for me because I'm like I'm seeing Ryan play at the age he's playing. I'm like, okay, I could do it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I could do
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
could.
If he's
I don't
still
know.
out
Maybe,
there.
maybe he's still doing
Yeah.
it. And Yosh, and I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
maybe I could do it. You know. So, like, we'll see. But yeah, that's where I probably see the side is the companies. But I mean, there's a lot of young killers now, man. Everybody's like, I've seen the growth of like a lot of like local circuits now. They never
Hmm.
used to be that way. It's like
Yeah.
you have like the MSXL, you have the is it the YXBL? Whatever, I don't
You,
know.
you got the NGXL
Yeah.
down south from you in Jasper,
Okay.
Georgia,
Okay.
kind of like northwest Atlanta. And then you got the AXL out here. You got the
Okay.
EXL up in Jersey.
Okay.
Jersey's got like 3 different leagues now.
That's crazy, dude. It used to be like it was funny because when we were playing paintball on the East Coast, we wanted to move to Cal. We would always tell my dad we wanted to move to San Diego so we could play
Hmm.
with those teams. Because what was frustrating is when you live on the East Coast, the reason why, and you can see it also Texas teams and Florida teams, but at first it was California teams. They were so good and destroying everybody was because they could play year round.
Yeah.
In Jersey, like there'd be a month you couldn't play, or you had to play at like some dim, dark indoor field that was terrible.
Hmm.
So that's why, like, you see teams like Texas, Florida, and California, they crush it because they can play year round, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been wild where you see all these tournaments coming up
Hmm.
where like that's never been around. It was just like NPPL, PSP. It was just that. So, and then you had like local fields will do their tournaments.
Hmm.
So you see a great feeder of a lot of players showing up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, wild.
Well, we've cruised right into an hour here, man. Shout out
Yeah, dude.
the shout out the sponsors one more
Yeah,
time, and
absolutely.
we'll call it a night.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first say Twine Graphics out of Franklin, Tennessee. Phenomenal support. We appreciate you, John, and that team helping us out with our practice jerseys and jerseys. Defy, I can't say enough good things about Chad and them. All of them just crushing it, and super thankful for them getting back to support us. Dos Santos Tacos. If you're ever in the Nashville area and you want some elevated tacos, I'm talking like bougie, nice tacos. Check them out, Jason there. And then Max Sportswear is hooking us with packs and gloves, dude. We're excited about that. And then, dude, I'm a Farm Sports. Shout out to Farm Sports. Miguel Cruz, he doesn't have a .com anymore. I'm like, Dad, you got to get the .com back because that was the way you would check photos. That would be the way to see if like any photos come up of me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah. You
people would
had to
go
go
up, check
there,
my dad's
War
website.
Pig.
Yeah, hey, yeah, yeah. So they would go check. Okay, it would always be the thing. Me and my brothers would be giving my dad crap, be like, "Dad, you got more pictures of them than us." But shout out to my dad, Miguel Cruz, Campfire Media. Dude, I'm trying to think if I forgot anybody else. I don't think I forgot anybody else. So that's all of them. Yeah, and hopefully it grows more. Hopefully that there's teams out there companies out there that really want to get behind what we're doing. So
Mhm.
yeah. So thank you to
Cool.
all those sponsors. We appreciate all the love. And you, man, thanks
Well,
it was funny when you reached out. I was like, you sure you want to talk to me? Do you know, like, is it someone from Saberwolves? Because I know they have a rich legacy and, giving a platform for us to get a little bit of a voice out there. Appreciate that.
hey, no, this is why I built this thing, was to like
Yeah.
give guys a platform that aren't, top 10 pro.
I
There's,
appreciate that.
there's a couple other out there, and, you know, we've already had our first team that GoPro with the Jungle Cats.
Well,
They
heck
were on
yeah.
the
Yeah, that's
podcast
right.
early on. Uh, you know,
Isn't that their coach was coach for Dynasty, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh my
See, I'm
gosh,
still getting into it, dude. I'm still
Mike.
learning.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, we'll see
Yeah.
everyone next time, and
Yeah.
you just gonna hang out for a second.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate having us on, too.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball podcast